I really seriously wondered if it was a good idea, because I really couldn't at that time see the problem with caffeine. But I think now, in retrospect, a year later, I can really see the massive impact it had on my body. And so, what can you do about it? Well, I think the best thing it was like having a line of speed. G'day guys, Quinn here from Cubicle Free. Today I want to talk about giving up caffeine, because it's been just over a year for me today. So I made a video recently about giving up alcohol, and that was over 5 years ago now. And I got some great comments, and I really appreciate that. So please leave your comments below after you watch this video. But I want to share my story today on caffeine, because I feel like it is yet another layer of the onion that I had to deal with to get to the true self, to be truly me, to experience the vitality I had as a child. I had to get rid of all of these addictions that I had. So at its height, I was probably having 2 to 3 cups in the morning and maybe 1 cup in the afternoon after I had a nap. So after my caffeine crash, I would often go for a nap, and then I'd have another cup of coffee to get me back on the track. So really what was happening was that caffeine was ruling my life. It was dictating how I felt during the day. It was dictating how I slept, and I wasn't sleeping very well. I was feeling anxious in the mornings, and I was worried it was caffeine that was causing that. And so I really just had to try and give it up for a while. And like I did with alcohol, I decided I would give it up for a month. And I found a book to read which advocates giving up caffeine. And I just read that book during that month while I was off the caffeine. And the book is called Caffeine Blues by Stephen Cheminsky. And it's pretty negative on caffeine. I'm not sure I 100% feel like it's totally balanced. It seems like it's really against caffeine, but it really did have some good points. So I do think it's worth a read. And it'll really just help you to understand what it's doing to your body and your mind. And you'll just feel better about the really shit period of time that you have to go through when you're not drinking caffeine, because what you'll discover is when you come off caffeine, or at least what I discovered, is that it is a super powerful stimulant, and it was definitely having a massive effect on my life. And to be honest, it probably took months really to get back to somewhere where I felt like I was normal. But where I was trying to get back to was really where I was as a kid. And, I don't know if you can remember how you felt as a kid, but you didn't need caffeine to wake up and feel refreshed and great. You didn't need to have alcohol or caffeine at all. Like, it was just innate. And I believe that vitality is really, you can have that through your entire life. You don't have to wait till you have your caffeine and then have the caffeine crash and then have another caffeine pick me up in the afternoon, or whatever, however you drink it. It's just, I feel like as a society we accept it as a legal and perfectly acceptable drug, but in the future we're probably going to look back on caffeine and go, like smoking or something, or even alcohol, we're going to look back and go, well, that wasn't really such a good idea. And there are some great alternatives, some alternatives that can make you feel, vital and potentially even better than you did with caffeine, and certainly better over the long term, physically and mentally. So what can you do about it? Well, I think the best thing is not to go cold turkey off caffeine. I essentially bought some decaf, so I would just have a half calf, and then I would have a quarter calf, and then I had an 8 calf, and eventually I just had no caffeine at all. And this took about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I can say that once I went off the caffeine completely, it wasn't like I felt instantly better or anything like that. In fact, I think I really seriously wondered if it was a good idea, because I really couldn't at that time see the problem with caffeine. But I think now, in retrospect, a year later, I can really see the massive impact it had on my body and my mental health. My anxiety levels are far better. My body just feels far more vital in the mornings when I wake up. I don't need a coffee. I don't nap anymore. I used to have to nap pretty much every day. I work for myself, so that's not a problem. But the napping is gone. And I've found some great alternatives. I now drink decaf coffee. At first, I couldn't drink the decaf coffee because I thought it was kind of a bit of a poor substitute for coffee with caffeine. There is definitely a different flavor, but now, to be honest, uh, I love decaf coffee. I think that's possibly because that's what I'm used to, and I've tried a few different brands, and I've found a decaf coffee that I love just as much. And every morning I wake up and I hand grind my decaf beans, and I put them in a filter paper, and I pour over my hot water, and I find that's the most delicious way to enjoy my coffee. So I still enjoy coffee. The thing that I also wanted to share with you was that I went to Vegas recently, and I was jet lagged as all hell from the trip from Australia, and I had to drive to Moab because I'm a keen mountain biker, and I was heading out there to do some mountain biking. And I'd basically flown for 20 hours, and I had no sleep, and I had to drive through Vegas traffic and get out, and I honestly felt incapable of driving. So I treated myself to a coffee with caffeine, and it was like having a line of speed. It was awesome. It was uh, it's not that I advocate having lines of speed or anything like that, or any kind of drug really, but in this case it was awesome to have something that was perfectly legal and was able to get me through what could have been a dangerous time. And to be honest, it was great. So yeah, I think there's upsides to giving up caffeine as a drug, because you can have it occasionally know to use as a drug if you want. Uh, I wouldn't advocate that. I wouldn't recommend that necessarily, but that's my story. Um, yeah, look, I hope this has been helpful for you, and I wish you all the best on your own caffeine journey. Check out the book that I recommended. It'll definitely set you up for success in terms of giving up caffeine. And I think if you give it up for a reasonable period of time, you too might find that it's the best way for you to go. Thanks for watching, guys. Look forward to seeing you again soon.